Join me as I take on the challenge of letting go of perfection and dive in headfirst into action, no matter how messy it gets. Perfectionism. It's a trait that can be both our greatest strength and our biggest weakness. On one hand, it drives us to push ourselves to achieve more, to be better, and to strive for excellence. But on the other hand, it can also be a paralysis, indecision, and a constant fear of not meeting our lofty standards. And let's be honest, that's a recipe for stagnation, not growth. When we're chasing perfection, we get caught up in the details. We overthink and we overanalyze. We're so afraid of making a mistake, of not being good enough, that we never actually take the first step. We're stuck in a never-ending cycle of planning, rehearsing, and perfecting, but never actually doing. And what's the result? Nothing. No progress, no movement, no growth. We're just stuck in a perpetual state of almost but not quite. I know, I've been there. I've spent hours, even days crafting the perfect social media post, only to realize it's been weeks since I last posted anything at all. I've rewritten an article so many times I've lost count, and still it remains unpublished. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. How many of us have been guilty of delaying a project, launching a business, or sharing our work with the world simply because it wasn't perfect yet? The problem is, perfection is an unattainable standard. It's a myth, a fantasy, a unicorn that we'll never actually catch. And the sooner we realize that, the better. Because the truth is, our imperfection, our quirks, and our mistakes are what makes us unique, what makes us human, and what ultimately leads to our greatest success. So, where does this need for perfection come from? Social pressure, where we're constantly bombarded with images of flawlessness and told that anything less is somehow inferior. It is personal expectations, where we put enormous pressure on ourselves to be better, to be the best, and never falter. Or is it something deeper, something rooted in our own fears and insecurities? Whatever the reason, one thing is certain, it's holding us back. Take, for example, the story of J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series. She's spoken publicly about her books, and can you believe they were rejected by 12 different publishers before one finally agreed to take a chance on her? Can you imagine if she'd given up? If she let her fear imperfection stop her from sharing her work with the world? I know for sure the world would be a very different place without Harry Potter. And yet, that's exactly what would have happened if she had let perfectionism get the best of her. Or, let's take Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple. He was a master of embracing imperfection, of taking risks, and of pushing the boundaries of what others thought possible. He's famously quoted as saying, "Real artists ship," meaning that it's not about creating something perfect, it's about creating something that's good enough and getting it out into the world. Let's take another example, Elon Musk, who's built his entire career on taking action, on innovating, and on pushing the limits of what's thought possible. He's not afraid of taking risks, or to make mistakes, or to learn from them. And look what he's achieved. Revolutionary electric cars, private space travel, and a whole lot more. The key insight here is that take imperfect actions leads to growth. It leads to success and leads to fulfillment. It's not about being perfect. It's about being brave, taking the leap and figuring it out as you go. It's about embracing your imperfection, your quirks, and your mistakes, and using them to learn, to adapt, and to evolve. So, let's summarize. Chasing imperfection is a losing game. It's a recipe for stagnation, not growth. It's time to take a deep breath, let go of our needs to control, and to dive headfirst into action, no matter how messy it gets. Because the truth is, our imperfections are what makes us human, and they're what will ultimately lead to our greatest success. Well, that concludes. Thanks for watching, and I would love to hear from you. What's your experience with imperfection? Have you ever felt held back by your need for control or your fear of making a mistake? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to check out my next video on overcoming personal obstacles and personal growth. Bye!